All right, I am back with another update on this. The content itself in this update isn't crazy massive, but the framework that I got set up while making these things will help speed up a lot of development in the future. A lot of what I'm going to be working on in the near future. Um, the quick overview, which I'll show in the packaged version, is I got the UI to move like it similarly to how it does in Warframe. So if you're looking at the UI, while you're moving around, it has some dynamic movement to it. Um, yeah, I'll explain more about it in a little bit. Um, I got some very simple effects going on when your shield takes damage and then when your shield breaks. So, and this was because and both of these things were because that was the like number one suggestion. So thank you guys for suggesting that. It does actually add a lot to the game, especially once I actually have enemy AI and they'll be able to shoot at you. It's going to be nice to have these already set up and ready to go. And then the second thing, which took a lot more of my time, and this is what a lot of that framework that I built, I was talking about me building a lot of framework. A lot of it was for this abilities. So right now it's just mags 1, so pull is working. You can not only use it on enemies, but I got the augment set up as well, so you can pull pickups. This took a long time to get right because of how I have pickups coded. But yeah, so those are the main things I got working. Magnetize, sadly, I wanted Magnetize to be done for this update, but with Silksong out and I have a lot of extra schoolwork I have to do, I'm not going to be working on that for a little while, and I wanted to get an update out. So hopefully Mag's other 3 abilities actually will be done when I make my next video. But for now, it's just pull. So that's it for the basic overview, and then I can get into Unreal for the more technical info on everything I did this update. So the first thing with the moving UI, this wasn't actually very hard to implement at all. It should be this one. So all I had to do for this was, actually I'll show it in here first. I just set up another panel inside the main panel, and everything that's supposed to move is now contained inside this panel. So things like the crosshair that don't move, which a lot of this stuff is still placeholder. So I know this is not the way the crosshair should be stored as just 2 images in validation boxes, but I'll fix it later. That was made a long time ago. But so everything that is supposed to move is inside of this moving panel. And then I don't even remember where the actual function is, or the event. I think I have it as an event. Yeah, I'm not sure. But it was very simple to do. And oh wait, is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So this is all it took, and then I call this event from the player depending on a bunch of other things. I don't remember exactly where. And also, before I show this event graph, I want to say, keep in mind, this is the first blueprint I ever made on my own in Unreal. You can see now there are a bunch of functions in here, and a bunch of, like things like this, things I've made more recently are actually coded well. Let this be a lesson to anyone. Keep your code organized and try and learn as much as you can before starting massive blueprints, because this player event graph is a nightmare to work with. I will most likely not touch pretty much anything in the event graph until I completely reprogram the entire player. So I'll pull this up so that you can see it lags my whole computer when I look through this, and these are all just coded. It's just like if statement inside of if statement inside of if statement. These things are so poorly coded, because I just didn't know about. I didn't know how to use functions in Unreal. I didn't know about a lot of different nodes. Um, so my code has gotten significantly better, but this is a nightmare to work with. But the actual moving of the camera, actually don't remember where I put it. I could have sworn this. Oh, I did make it a function. Yeah, because it's something I made more recently. So this is all it took to get the camera working, or the UI movement working. It's not too much. It didn't take too long to figure out, but again, it's not exactly like Warframe. There's still some kinks that have to work out. But and then the shield UI stuff was very, very simple. I don't need to find the event or function or whatever for this, but it's literally just two images that, you know, they have animations. So this one is when your shield takes damage, and then it just fades out over a quarter of a second, and then the shield break just fades out over 1 second, and, you know, moves its position. This is all it really. This is giving you a bit of insight into how some game development stuff works. This is just a giant. I just scaled up the image basically, and it just moves. So that's all that is. But yeah, those things were both pretty easy, added a lot to the game. Thank you for that suggestion, because that was the most suggested thing on my last video. And then for the second most suggested thing, and the thing that took up a disgusting amount of my time, in my last video, I had actually shown a very brief look at abilities, and I had kind of built a system to allow me to make abilities. It was terrible. It wasn't scalable. I couldn't have made very many abilities. It would have been impossible to work with. So I had to redo that from scratch. Stop autosaving. But so yeah, I had to redesign that from scratch for this newest update. I now have an entire ability manager that can do a bunch of stuff. And when I was talking about framework, there are things like this function. This is so Unreal Engine doesn't have a built-in way to check for things within a cone. There are almost definitely plugins for it. People have probably made things for it, but the whole idea from this project is I am not using anything external. So I had to make this function myself. So this is just one thing where instead of just making it so that the pull ability checks for everything within the cone and then, you know, does what pull is supposed to do, I wanted to make the checking everything within a cone a function in and of itself, so I can use this for other abilities, because there are obviously many other abilities in Warframe that, you know, do things within a cone. A lot of abilities are not just everything within a certain radius or whatever. So I had to get this set up so that I could check for everything within a cone. And now I can use that for tons of different abilities. Similarly, the actual pull effect. There are many things in the game that can pull enemies and pickups other than Mag's pull ability. So I wanted to make this something that could be spawned in by anything. So anything can spawn in a pull effect and feed it the things that need to get pulled, along with how strong it should be, you know, whether it should pull pickups or not, how long it should last, and then so anything can spawn a pull effect in, and then it will just pull for however long it's supposed to pull. It'll pull whatever it's supposed to pull, and then it'll get destroyed. So there was a lot of setup in making these things usable in other circumstances. I'm trying to not hard code it just for, you know, this first ability. Like I might even be able to use this pull effect for magnetize. I might be able to make some slight modifications to how it pulls things and make it work with projectiles, and use that for magnetize. So hopefully that should help make magnetize a little quicker to get working. Then, oh yeah, I did also just want to go briefly into how the checking in the cone works, because I was pretty happy with how I figured it out. So basically, I just get every single hit within a sphere trace, which if you don't know what this is, think of it, it's basically like a pill shape. It's a giant cylinder with rounded edges, so it looks like a big pill that I can adjust the radius and the length of. And this will just basically tell me everything that's within inside that giant cylinder. So I get everything that's within that cylinder. Then I have to check each of the things that got hit and compare the angle, basically the vector. I compare the vector to the thing that got hit with the vector straight forwards in the sphere check here, or sphere trace, and I compare the angle to the cosine of whatever angle I want for the cone, which in this case I have it set at 30 degrees. So the dot product, I'm not going to explain it if you don't know what it is, because it's quite an explanation. It's basically just a way to see if things are pointing in the same direction, or, you know, if things are pointing parallel, whatever, perpendicular, whatever. So I'm basically checking the things to see if their angle is within the cone's angle. If it is, I then return the hit, so I can use it later. And then I also have it set up so that if I want to grab everything, like Mag's pull doesn't just pull everything within the cone, it also pulls things that are just close to Mag within it's a few meter radius. I don't remember exactly how wide. But I have it doing the same thing. So even if things aren't within that cone's angle, if anything is within 500 units, which is very close, it's like 2 or 3 meters. If anything is within 5, or it might be 5 meters, actually, that would make a lot of sense. I don't know the exact conversion. But yeah, if anything is within that range, even if it's not within the cone, then it will get pulled. So stuff like this is what takes a lot more of my time than actually making pull. And then making the pull work on enemies was very simple and quick. Making it work on pickups was very difficult because of how pickups are just structs. They're not actual objects, they're just structs that have an instant static mesh. So I have to basically detect collision with their static mesh, figure out which struct has that static mesh and mesh index associated with it. And then apply, you know, all of the pull stuff that needs to be applied. And then it was a lot of extra work, but this is how I made pickups to optimize them, and there's still a bit more optimization I have to do with them. Then I think that's really all I needed to show off. I mean, that pretty much gives you an idea of everything. Pull is working on enemies and on pickups. The shield stuff is working, and the UI moves actively with the player. I think that's pretty much all I needed to show off. I don't think I worked on anything else. Oh, I am gonna do an update also in the fairly near future, with weapons and projectiles in general. I'm gonna try out a system that Destiny uses, where there aren't any technical, or not aren't any, but most weapons that are hit scan aren't actually instant. They're just projectiles with an insanely high velocity. So I'm going to test that because I think that might solve a few of the problems I'm encountering with projectiles. I'm also going to finally implement punch through on projectiles. Right now, hit scan weapons have punch through and it works fine, but projectile weapons do not have punch through setup, and they also have no limit on how many times they'll hit something that they're overlapping with. So if it's overlapping with something, it will damage it every tick right now, which is obviously not how it works in Warframe and not how it should work. So that I know how to fix and will be very easy to fix, but I also need to do projectile punch through because right now they'll just go infinitely no matter what. So there'll definitely be another projectile update in the near future. And then, like I was saying, abilities as well. Pull is done, but I still want to get magnetize, polarize, and crush done. Crush shouldn't be super hard, although I'll have to add ragdolling, so, which I guess I also should have for pull, because pull does ragdoll things. but magnetize is going to be the ability that takes the longest amount of time. Polarize should be pretty easy as well. But yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to be working on magnetizing the projectile system. I showed off pretty much everything that I've worked on. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have in my notes. So then the last thing is just leave any suggestions again. Anyone that either read the comments or left a comment last time, you'll know, and I think I said it at some point throughout this update. The two big things I worked on are the things that were suggested. So I can't promise I'll work on everything that's suggested, but I do have a Trello board with everything I'm working on. So a lot of things, if you suggest, even if I'm not doing them immediately, will be added to this. Like in this projectile expansion, someone last time recommended ricocheting and bouncing, so I added that. So I'll work on that next time, or at some point in the future whenever I get to this projectile expansion. But yeah, so feel free to leave a comment on things to work on. Don't say things like, you know, make a survival mission. Someone left that comment, which was funny, but then like I don't care. But real, like if you're actually trying to give a suggestion, give something reasonable. You know, I can't make missions. I can't make tile sets yet. Things like mods as well. These aren't coming for a long time. Melee weapons I even have listed as maybe. I don't know if I'm ever gonna do that. I mean, I probably will eventually, but these are like very far down the line. But things along the line of these things, and the things that are in progress. You know, working on the UI, making a better settings screen, adding abilities, projectile. You know, doing stuff with projectiles. I'm gonna be adding the enemy drop table soon, so they actually drop at least health and energy orbs. I don't know if I'm gonna add other types of drops yet. But I'm going to be adding scopes, AI will be coming eventually, so things at a similar level to that. Feel free to leave those in the comments, and I'll either work on them for the next update if they're relevant to what I'm planning on working on, or I'll add them to my list of stuff to do eventually. But yeah, and then also feel free to ask any questions about game development in general. I should reiterate, I'm a game development student, a game design student. I am not someone with 20 years of experience in the industry, so I cannot promise my answers will be perfect and infallible and the best information you can get online. But the best way to learn something is by teaching it to someone else. You really have to know a subject to be able to teach it to someone else. So if you guys ask questions that I don't know, I'll do the research I have to do to find the right answer and learn a lot myself in the process. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. And the next update will be probably in a while. I got Silksong in school, so not sure when it'll be. But yeah, thanks for watching.